Greetings, dear listeners, and welcome to a new episode of our Giant Leap podcast, presented by the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group of the Space Generation Advisory Council. Our Giant Leap discusses diversity, equity, and inclusion issues within the international space industry. As we peer into the night sky, we are captivated by the radiant stars, each telling its unique tale of the universe and its cosmic origins. Much like these celestial objects, space agencies serve as strong pillars in the space industry, each with its distinctive narrative and background, propelling progress in both scientific and technological realms. In this episode, we embark on a journey to Tunisia to witness the birth of the Tunisian Space Association, delving into its beginnings, objectives, and the essence of being an emerging entity in the realm of space associations. My name is Amin, and I will be your host for today's podcast. In this episode, we are thrilled to have not just one or two, but three distinguished guests. Joining me today, Mohamed Amine Bensalem, Mariam Ben Abroug, and Ahmed El Fadhel, each member of TUNSA, the Tunisian Space Association. It's my pleasure to have you today as our guest. Can we please start by going around the table and for everyone to present themselves? Can we start with you, for example, Mr. Ahmed?
Yes, first, thank you very much for having us. We are delighted to join this amazing podcast from Tunisia. I am the president of the Tunisian Space Association, TUNSA. Actually, I have background in aerospace engineering and astrophysics, and now I am an entrepreneur actually in the space industry.
What about you, Mariam?
Thank you for having us today. I am Mariam. I'm 27 years old. I'm getting my master's degree in neuropsychology in 1 month, maybe. And I am cognitive remediation therapist as well. I participated in analog astronaut mission in Sao Paulo, and I'm Miss International Tunisia 2023.
Yeah, that's quite impressive, and congratulations for your master's too.
Thank you.
Welcome. And now, finally, Amin, go ahead.
Hello, Amin. I'm also Amin. We are very glad to be here with you. So, I'm a mechanical engineer and a systems engineer based here in Milano, Italy. I am also co founder of the Tunisian Space Association. I've worked on multiple projects in the association in different parts, especially technical. We're glad to participate.
As you hear these listeners, our guests today have very diverse backgrounds, but all of them were united by their love for space, much as we are here in the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group from the SGAC. And it's really one of our objective here on this podcast to show that you don't have to be necessarily an engineer or a scientist to go into space. Yeah, you can have any kind of background, and as long as you love space, you're really passionate about it, you will find your way there. And speaking about finding your way, Ahmed, as the president of the TUNSA, the Tunisian Space Association, can you tell us the story behind TUNSA, how it all began, and where it will be going?
Yes, actually, it's true that I'm the president of TUNSA, but I wasn't the only founder of TUNSA. And I would be really glad to hear the story of Tunsa from one of the co-founders of this association, from my colleagues Mohamed Amine Bensalem, and then I will give more details about the current status of Tunsa.
So the history is actually quite inspiring. We were a group, a bunch of people. We were from different backgrounds, mostly diasporas, Tunisian diasporas, mainly lived in Europe. Some of us were already working in the aerospace sector. Some of us were students back then at the time, including me, by the way. And we had something in common. We had this passion about the space industry. We believe in it, and we wanted to give back to Tunisia and create community about it, and let's say contribute in the development of the space sector in our country, Tunisia. So after a few meetings, most of them were online, started the idea of the Tunisian Space Association. So we started preparing the floor like from May 2020 with our meetings then to prepare for the projects. And one of the most important axes that we work on is the education. So what we wanted to do is to base this community on the academic stuff and the universities, research centers, which are based in Tunisia and working on different sectors, but not exactly on the space sector. So we got the technology, but we need to give this impulse to start the journey in the space sector. We actually got an opportunity, a very good opportunity that impulsed us to work harder, which is Tunisia, the Cube competition, which was sponsored by the JAXA, Japan Aerospace and Exploration Agency, in a partnership with INOSA, which is the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs. And the goal of it was to promote the space sector in African countries and developing countries, and Tunisia and Mexico were the countries that won that competition. And the TUNSA's role here was that we were able to bring this opportunity to a Tunisian institution and to bring the knowledge and the expertise to its academic staff and to help them initiate their first academic CubeSat, which will be launched in from the International Space Station. So this was one of the main projects that we have worked on the education part. We have also developed a lot of teams that work on different space applications, and the space applications actually touch all the sectors in the world almost. You can have them by the goals that allowed us to start this, which are the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. So we wanted to have space applications that can impact the environment, that can limit the pollution, that can allow us to track and monitor the natural resources, the agriculture sector, and everything around this. And recently, we also have worked on the innovation. So there is here a very important thing that happened in Tunisia starting from 2018. It was the time that the legal status of startups was signed in the parliament. And so then we started seeing new startups coming into from Tunisia. And actually, one of them have raised more than 600 million euros and became a success story all around the United States. It was based in Tunisia, now based in a lot of countries in Africa. This actually triggered a lot of young entrepreneurs, both male and female, sometimes even students in their careers, in their universities, just thinking about starting their own project, and we found this as a very exciting opportunity to work on the development of startups in the space sector. Anything that can work on the technology is actually almost the same. You just need to base it on which applications and which market and which sector. That's what we've been doing with multiple Tunisian startups. We've, for example, allowed them to participate in a competition, which is the Africa Observation Challenge. I think Ahmed can give more details about it a little bit later. And so that's what we believe in. We believe that the backbone of the space sector, it should be both the universities, research center, academic, but also innovation. Those who can bring the technology from the laboratory into the market and develop something around it. And so the funny way that we are actually impacting the space sector in Tunisia is by our communication. So mainly in TUNSA, you can have those two main axes. There is the communication and there is the research. The communication is external, the research is mostly internal. So our communications was based on not waiting for the people to come to the space sector, but to get the space and bring it to them in their fields. So we've worked on the space technologies in different sectors, in agriculture, in law. We have legal team in medicine, in a lot of sectors. And this actually allowed us to have more and more community, more people from different backgrounds working in their sectors, but also on the space. And that's actually amazing.
Yeah, thank you a lot for your response. It's great for me because I'm space enthusiast and because I'm Tunisian too to see all the work that you are doing. It's very impressive how much you are pushing for the space industry in Tunisia. And speaking about going into space and bringing space to people, I really want to hear the story of Mariam. Mariam, how did you end up How did your passion bring you to TUNSA?
Actually, I am a very ambitious girl. I like to take challenges. I like to do new challenges. I like to prove that when I want something, I get it. So I started to search to challenge myself and go beyond my potential, maybe. So, because in my country, Tunisia, we can't reach our potential like very easily. We have to work harder than other people to reach. So, I started to work on it, and I started to search where I can go and grow my passion for this field. And I end up with TUNSA, and I'm very happy that they accepted me and they liked my interest and my field, and they encouraged me to carry on.
I think that's quite inspiring for a lot of girls that hopefully will be hearing us both from Tunisia and everywhere in the world to see that it's never impossible to reach your goals. And I agree. Maybe in Tunisia it's a little bit harder for people to reach for their potentials and to go to follow their goals. But to hear from you that it's quite possible if you believe in it and if you really work harder, you know, from personal point of view, I think when we talk about how working hard and putting the effort actually solves the problem, some people think about it only happens in movies, in imagination. But seeing actual people doing it in reality and hearing them through this podcast and other communication channels is really inspiring. I think to really have a positive impact for a lot of the young generations out there. And speaking of again of the young generations, Ahmed, can you tell us about the amazing first Tunisian space summer school that happened not long ago? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, if you are a high schooler in Tunisia or even a university student, you will struggle to find opportunities in the education, public education sector in Tunisia to get to know more about space technology, about astrophysics, about space medicine, space law. It's really difficult. We don't have opportunities that are mature enough and reliable actually for youth in Tunisia regarding space education. So when I was actually studying in Tunisia, I had this passion, but I couldn't fulfill my dreams and my ambitions when I was a student there. So when I had the opportunity actually to study this field and to work in it mainly in Europe, then one of my main drivers and motivations for doing something in the space sector in Tunisia was to contribute to providing this type of the educational opportunities to Tunisian youth. So I had the chance to be with really amazing team that was actually the major building block that made this project possible. And we had also support from the governments of Switzerland and Italy through their embassies in Tunisia and their ministries of foreign affairs, who actually funded and provided technical and strategic support for the realization of this project. So the project is basically 4-day trainings, intensive trainings in various fields and applications of the space sector, from space robotics, astrophysics, to space medicine, space law, to prototyping actually a small satellite. And we are talking about young people less than 18 or less than 19 years old. So this was something that was done for the first time in the history of Tunisia, and we are very proud of it. The students, yeah, they enjoyed it, and yeah, at least we know that we still don't have enough opportunities for professional career in Tunisia or scientific research in Tunisia in the space sector, but at least starting targeting the youth when they are high schoolers or still the primary or secondary education, we think it's very important for the future, because even when they go abroad to study and to continue their studies in the space sector or to work in the space sector, they will always be ready to help and to support the development of their nation's space sector. And this is something very, very important for us to, and we hope that we are helping opening new frontiers for our youth, and we look also forward to collaborate with other developing and African countries, with support, of course, from developed nations and spacefaring nations.
I have to say this. When I was going through Facebook actually, and I found that we will have in Tunisia the first space summer school, I was so envy. I really wanted to be there. I wanted to participate too. It's been always a dream for me, like to work on designing next generation satellites and everything. And in some way, I'm doing it right now because of my studies and everything. But it's still back in Tunisia, if you told me that that will happen there, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, I'd probably say, no, you're joking. It's impossible. So this, for example, for me proves that if there is people who are ambitious, there is people who are ready to put the work and like to work for it, nothing is actually impossible. And I think for the youth, the people who were there, like who participated in that summer school, that was game changer for them. Yeah, having these opportunities to touch firsthand the space applications from a young age, that should like opened a lot of doors for them in and proved for them that it's quite possible, that it's quite there, that yeah, it's in front of us and it's not something that we only see on TV. And I really appreciate that.
Exactly, and the point here, Mohammed Amin, is that we did not wait for like very experienced people to come and do these programs for our youth, but TUNSA is mainly a very young organization in terms of the structure, but also the members. So we are also mostly between 20 and 30 years old for the 90% of the members. So we wanted really to put into action the strength of young people when they work in an organized way and when they have a common vision. So we don't want wait for the government, we don't wait for any foreign or national institution to do this for us. We take the first step and then we bring the partners to actually support our vision. And this is actually the strong driving factor that is making TUNSA impactful on the field. We have our own vision, although we are all of us, we are young people, but we would like to have an impact, because in general, if you look at the space programs in most of the countries in general, they are led by governments, they are led by military, by public institutions, but you have very few examples where you have young people from living outside the country and inside the country who just made a community and started working together to contribute to the progress and the advancement of the national space sector. So we believe that this is a unique experience, that an association is doing this. We are not pretending to be the only actor in the space field, but we are, I think, now a major contributor together with public and private and academic institutions to the establishment of the space sector in Tunisia on good basis and to its development for the future. And we hope that this will continue and this will grow up. And of course, we are really looking for more support and for more Tunisian, but also non-Tunisian or foreign young people to join us in this journey and to support us, and that we can work together and achieve more nice things.
Impressive, quite impressive. I definitely agree. What I really love about Junsa from the stories is actually that it was like an initiative taken by people who were like just young professionals or students, and just because they had like this big passion about space, that they did not wait and just like jumped on the opportunity and decided to do something, and not just to stay and complain about how there is no space industry in Tunisia. And I find this quite impressive. And now, dear listeners, we're gonna take a short break. We're gonna move to our fun fact segment, but don't go away because we will be back and we'll be discussing a lot more with our esteemed guest.
In the captivating saga of the first woman graphic novel series from NASA, named First Woman, NASA's Promise for Humanity, which narrates the story of Kaylee Rodrigues, a fictional astronaut who's set to explore the moon. The first issue, namely Dream to Reality, follows Kaylee's trailblazing path as the first woman on the moon. Kaylee and her robot sidekick, Artie, overcome setbacks, disappointment, and tragedy along the way. From her childhood dreams of space travel to being selected as an astronaut candidate, Kaylee takes us on her journey to Moon. Continuing the saga, issue 2, which is expanding our universe, catapults us into the heart of lunar challenges, where Kaylee, Artie, and a new team face adversity on the moon. Joined by astronauts Messiah Billy and Martin Tremblay, the crew use their training and human ingenuity to deploy a next generation space telescope. We see how teamwork and perseverance help the crew overcome the challenges of living and working on other worlds. In First Woman, Kaylee stands on the shoulders of real life women who broke barriers to establish firsts of their own. This series builds awareness of real life technologies that NASA is developing to get us further than we've ever gone before and improve life here on Earth. Through vivid storytelling, this series aims to ignite the imaginations of young explorers, weaving through a tale of determination, resilience, and the quest for discovery that resonates far beyond the bounds of Earth.
And we are back. So, before the break, we were discussing about the impact of youth and how TUNSA, as a young space association, is in the building phase, trying to go bigger, go beyond, collecting new people and everything. And for example, like from my perspective, when I look to other space agencies that are already established, and because like I'm part of the diversity and gender equality project group, and I see like the diversity in the profiles of people there. I see, for example, that for NASA there is only 35% of permanent workers who are females, and in ESA, the European Space Agency, it's only 29%. And what we really like in this podcast, what we really discovered is like it's really hard to tackle the problem of gender equality once you have gender inequality already established in space agency or in the space sector in a company. But for example, for a growing space association like TUNSA, what are the solutions, the aims, the goals, the ways that you use to involve more young girls like for to get into the space industry and to TUNSA also, so we have like equality between both genders and every identity in the space industry. Mariam, can you start answering this?
Of course. All around the world, not only in Tunisia, women are tracked away from science, which limits their opportunities to go into STEM fields when they grow up. Let's say that gender inequality is not only affecting the woman herself, it's affecting the whole development of nations. Because when we have gender inequality, it means that we are not seeing the whole potential of our community. We are just seeing 50%, which is men, but we are not taking advantage of the brains that obviously women have. So it's only 34% or less women are in STEM field all around the world. So for me, not only for me, also in some developed countries, such in Japan, they are trying to minimize and decrease this gender inequality by making some workshops. For example, they did a workshop in Mazda to target women to come and have some workshops with the engineers. There is a gender bias that is in the back of our mind. It's unconscious. It's becoming more and more dangerous. We can work to interrupt the unconscious thought, which will lead to that bias. For example, when my kid comes to me and tells me I want to become a physicist, I will not tell her that no, this is a very masculine field. No, this we have to stop saying this to our kids. I know this is very weird, but it happens still nowadays, 21st century. From my side, I started to do some awareness. I know I'm not in Tunisia, but collaboration with the TUNSA. I went to some kindergartens and I started some sensibilization to the young girls. I talked to them about the solar system and how we can travel to space and what is a rocket, what are the different planets that we have. So I believe that this act will inspire our little girls to think about following a STEM field. So, and maybe one day this little girl will become an astronaut or physicist.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, definitely, gender inequality is not only targeting women. It's not just the feeling that women have when they feel that they are not appreciated enough. It also affects all nation, as you said, because we are only using half of our potential. And I agree that tackling the problem from a young age by talking to our kids in our homes and telling them that the sky is the limit, that doesn't matter if you are a boy or a girl, you all have the same opportunities, an amazing way like to destroy this gender bias. And speaking about going to kindergartens and everything, and I believe that's what we should be doing, that we should from a young age, from 5 years old or even younger, make this idea like tell them that everything is possible, present to our kids all the possible opportunities, and then let them choose, not to limit their choices based on our personal biases and opinion. And about going to the kindergartens, that actually joins one of the missions of the diversity and gender equality project groups, Padawans, who do like this group like goes to high schools and middle schools and try to present space industry and astrophysics and scientific knowledge to young kids and to get them interested about it. And I'm really interested to see your point of view on this matter. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I will just share a personal story. I actually participated in the Tunisian Space Summer School as a mentor just, I think, 3 days before my flight. So I had to, delay my flight in order to be able to have this opportunity. But, the time I met those young people, the time I met those youth, high schoolers, it just like came into my mind. This is me, like 10 years ago or something like that. This is exactly me. I used to think this way. I used to be very passionate about it. But, I couldn't find someone or an organization or something that can offer me the opportunity to work on the space sector at the time. But now I just stand in front of them and tell them, guys, don't give up on this dream. We actually were you some time ago and we went somewhere else, and now we're coming back to bring knowledge and experience, and you should help us doing it. You should do the same exact thing, and help and build this community. And this is how it actually from one pilot experience for the summer schools, because most of the time we used to work with universities, with people from a different category of age. Now when touching the high schoolers, those people who have the basic knowledge of science, and they are at the point of choosing which career to follow. Some people I know, they've been passionate about engineering and stuff like that, but then they didn't find the exact opportunity, and then they went completely to a different sector. And now they come back to me and tell me, I'm still passionate about mathematics and this stuff. you know so I think Tunsa and any other players that can be there will help those teenagers in order to base their choices on something they are passionate about. After a few years, the same people will be the creators of the ecosystem and the developers of this industry.
definitely, definitely, and that again joins one of our previous episodes, where the one we had with Dr. Jun Chisoni. For dear listeners, if you didn't hear that yet, it's your opportunity. Go and give it a listen. So what she talked about is actually joins what you were saying. Is like how it's like a cycle, like people come back again to push the new generation higher, further than they already went on, that they themselves achieved. That's how scientific and technological progress actually happens. It's not an individual work. It's not the work of one generation. It should be like step by step. Every generation take one step further than the one before. Every age group, every mentee take one step further than their mentors, and that's how progress is made. And that's what we want here. We want for our listeners, whether they are high schoolers, students in university, young professionals, people who are already retired from the space agency, to to come back and help people who are just starting their story, who are just starting writing their first line in their book of their space passion. That's what we want to do here. That's how the future will be decided. That's how we create new ideas. That's how we get rid of old biases. It's just by discussing, by having this retro action from one generation to another, from one group of people to another, to guide us, to guide the young generation towards better future, brighter future, not only for them but for us all. And to conclude our session today, I we would like to go around the table, and if possible, every each one of you give us like one message, one word for the young generation, for future space enthusiasts. What do you have to say for them? Maybe we start with you, Ahmed.
Yes, thank you again for this session. Maybe I would like to add a quick note about what has been said before about the gender equality, because actually in Tunisia we have the opportunity. Yeah, it's kind of luck, or yeah, the country is built like that since the independence, that we have a lot of women already studying the STEM sector, in the STEM fields. So in education we are far better than most of the countries in the region. Whilst for the professional side, actually, for us, the basic idea is really to treat everyone similarly. We don't even look at gender. So this made that we have more than 50% of women. Many of them are in leadership positions at TUNSA, because we just treat everyone equally. So we do not neither favor women or men in our organization. So this is just a mindset that we are having, and we see that it works very well. And we had a visit from JAXA last year, and they were really impressed about the leading roles of women in Tunisian organizations in general, not only in Tunsa. The maybe the last message that I would like to send is really for young people who are just learning about the space sector, or are still not yet professionals in this field. Just keep on dreaming, and follow your dreams till the end. You do never know when you will get the opportunity, but when you get this opportunity, just try to put all your efforts in it, and try just to benefit from the opportunities that will be presented to you. And yeah, hopefully a lot of you will join Tunsa adventure.
What about you, Amin?
I would just tell my younger self or the youth generation, believe in what your passion is. If you are passionate about space, go for it. Maybe today it's not very developed here in Tunisia. Maybe the ecosystem is still young. We're still in the development phase. But tomorrow it will definitely, with our belief, it will definitely be there, and you will be able to be the brick in that wall.
Thank you. And Mariam?
For me, I want to add something to my colleague Ahmed. So, Tunisia is not only a leader in the region about women in STEM field, but it's also ranking second female in STEM in the world between 2015 and 2017. I was in Japan last month, and I went to the astronaut department, and we had a lecture with very good professor there, and we were talking about Tunisia and the collaboration between Tunisia and Japan to launch a satellite. And he was so impressed by our young youth and young researchers. And so, yeah, I want to tell everybody who listen to us to forget about what people are saying to you. Just focus on your goal, and you will reach one day. Just put all your effort there, your all your energy there. Don't spend your energy on hearing the bad and negative thoughts.
Definitely, I agree. Sometimes we hear talks all around us, negative energy telling us that things are impossible while they are actually possible. It's just like they themselves, sometimes the people telling us this, did not have the courage or the audacity to take the first step to try to go beyond what was presented to them, to look for the opportunities, not just to wait for them to present themselves. And just to conclude, okay, in Tunisia, we don't have a lot of things that we are mostly proud about. We are a small country. We're still in the face of economic development. We still struggle a bit socially, economically, and everything. But one thing that we are really proud about is the gender equality in Tunisia, is how opportunities are presented equally to both men and women, and how women in Tunisia are following STEM education later and taking lead positions. And I hope that this mentality diffused to other regions in the Arabic world, in Africa, and all over the world. And one day in the future, we find ourselves not only in a space industry that respects and appreciate both men and women equally, but everyone, everywhere in the globe should have equal opportunities. And that will be our long-term project. And hopefully, nothing is impossible. With this, we conclude another episode of the Our Giant Leap podcast. But don't worry, our journey through space shall continue. Until then, keep shining, dear listeners. The Our Giant Leap podcast is brought to you by the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group of the Space Generation Advisory Council. You can interact with us on the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group social media and leave feedback or advice from your side. Also, let us know who would you like us to interview next. Thank you all for listening. I'm your host Amin, signing off.